The silverware trembled in my hand as my sister's words cut through the Christmas dinner conversation. "It's just so sad that some people never reach their potential," Olivia said, her eyes sliding toward me with practiced pity. "Catherine, maybe you should ask Mr. Townsend about openings in the mailroom. At least it's a real company." Mr. Townsend, Olivia's boss and our dinner guest, chuckled on cue, wine sloshing in his crystal glass. Their shared laughter seemed to echo louder in my ears as blood rushed to my head. My chest tightened as I caught my parents exchanging that familiar look, the same one they'd carried for 17 years, ever since I'd abandoned the family plan. My phone vibrated silently in my pocket. A fourth urgent message from the board. Tomorrow's acquisition. The one that would make or break Mr. Townsend's career. The one that only required my signature. "My name is Catherine. I'm 32 years old, and this is the story of how I stopped hiding my success from the family that defined me by my failures. For 5 years, I had maintained a careful illusion of mediocrity. The modest teaching job, the struggling apartment, the second-hand Honda. All while building Summit Enterprises into a global powerhouse. Quietly, through subsidiaries, we had already acquired Mr. Townsend's company last quarter. The merger had been finalized over a year ago. "The garage is ready for you, Kathy," my mother announced, pulling me from my thoughts. "We put a space heater out there since Amanda needs the guest room. She's pregnant, you know." As if pregnancy ranked higher than basic hospitality. The table fell silent. Relatives pretended not to listen, though they caught every word. This was their annual entertainment, watching Catherine be put in her place. "The garage," I repeated, keeping my tone neutral despite the December chill seeping through the windows. "Don't be dramatic," Mom said, passing the cranberry sauce without looking at me. "There's a heater. It's not like you're not used to modest accommodations." I thought of my penthouse overlooking Central Park, my vacation home in Maui, the private island I'd purchased last summer, all carefully hidden under shell companies. "The garage is fine," I said, slicing my turkey into neat pieces. "I'm sure it's better than what most of my community college students have." Olivia's smile widened. She loved it when I mentioned my teaching job. To her it was more proof of my failure. "That's the spirit," she said, her diamond bracelet flashing in the candlelight. "At least you know your place." Later, Olivia led me to the garage. A cold, concrete space despite the small heater humming weakly in the corner. An old military cot stood wedged between Dad's golf clubs and boxes of Christmas decorations. A thin blanket was folded at one end, probably pulled from some forgotten closet. "Dinner tomorrow is at 7, Olivia said, her voice echoing in the bare space. "Try not to track dirt into the house." When the door closed behind her, I pulled out my phone. 3 urgent emails from the board waited for my attention. Tomorrow's meeting, the same one where Olivia's boss would be presenting quarterly reports, would be decided by my approval. I smiled as I typed responses. Olivia had no idea that her perfect boss, Mr. Townsend, had spent the last month begging for a meeting with Summit's elusive CEO. The same CEO he didn't realize was sleeping in my parents' garage. My assistant texted, "Mr. Townsend asked again about meeting you before tomorrow's board meeting. Should I tell him you're unavailable?" Oh, I typed back. "Let him think I'm still in London. It'll make dinner more interesting." The next evening, precisely at 7, I took my usual seat at the far end of the dining table. Olivia, glowing with pride, sat near the head beside Mr. Townsend. "Catherine," Dad called out. "Olivia was just telling us about her promotion, Junior Vice President of Operations. Isn't that wonderful?" I nodded, accepting a plate of turkey. "Congratulations, Liv. Summit Enterprises must be impressed with your work." Mr. Townsend beamed. "She's one of our rising stars. The merger with Summit opened so many doors for talent like Olivia." "The merger?" Mom sighed with relief. "We worried when Summit bought the company, but it turned out so well. Though no one really knows much about Summit's CEO. Very mysterious." Olivia leaned forward eagerly. "Apparently she's a reclusive billionaire. Some say she's in London. Others think Tokyo. No one at our level has ever met her." I sipped my wine to hide my smile. "They only knew." "I've heard she's brilliant," Mr. Townsend added. "Transformed a dozen companies in the last 5 years. Built Summit from nothing." Olivia scoffed. "She can't be that brilliant if she hides from everyone." Probably just some trust fund baby who got lucky. Just then Mr. Townsend's phone buzzed. His face paled as he answered. Yes, I have the reports ready for tomorrow's board meeting. No, I haven't reached Mrs. CO yet. Yes, I understand how important, she's still in London. When he returned, flustered, Olivia filled the silence by bragging about her latest restructuring project, claiming she had saved the company millions. I checked my phone beneath the table. The actual reports showed otherwise. Her changes had cost nearly $3 million in inefficiencies. I had been waiting for the right moment to address it. More wine, Catherine? Mom offered, her voice sharp. Though maybe water is better, considering your financial situation. Olivia snickered. Yes, community college teachers should really watch their spending. Before I could respond, Mr. Townsend's phone buzzed again. His face turned white. He excused himself, practically begging into the phone for 5 minutes with Mrs. Sue. I leaned back in my chair, savoring the moment. For years, Olivia had paraded her small promotions in front of me. Tonight, I was ready to turn the table. I thought about the Richardson deal. Those late nights spent strategizing, the careful maneuvering of assets. Ruthless wasn't the word I'd use. Strategic, yes. Determined, definitely. Mr. Townsend returned to the dining room looking as though he might faint. Mrs. CEO is calling an emergency pre-board meeting tomorrow at 7 a.m. All department heads must attend. Olivia's fork clattered against her plate. What? But tomorrow's Christmas. She doesn't care, Mr. Townsend replied weakly. She's reviewing all recent operational changes. Olivia, bring your restructuring reports. Now seemed like the perfect moment. I cleared my throat softly. Mr. Townsend. He looked up, startled that I had spoken from the far end of the table. Yes. The meeting's actually at 8 a.m., not 7. And Olivia won't need her reports. I've already reviewed them. The room fell silent. Olivia let out a nervous laugh. What are you talking about? You don't even work for Summit. I rose slowly, smoothing the front of my plain sweater. Actually, I do. In fact, I am Summit. I turned to Mr. Townsend. Those reports you've been so desperate to get to me? I received them last week. We should discuss the Q4 projections. They're off by about 30 million. His mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. You're Catherine Wilson, CEO of Summit Enterprises. Yes. I smiled, savoring the way Olivia's face drained of color. Though most people just call me Mrs. CO. Mom's wine glass slipped from her fingers, red staining the white tablecloth. No one moved to clean it up. This is a joke, Olivia whispered. It has to be. I pulled out my phone and projected my company ID onto the dining room wall. My photo. My title. My company. Crystal clear. No joke, Liv. While you were climbing the corporate ladder, I built the building. But you're a teacher, Mom stammered. I teach 1 class per semester at the community college, I corrected gently. Because I believe in education and giving back. The rest of my time is spent running one of the largest private equity firms in the world. Olivia shoved back from the table, her chair scraping against the floor. You can't be. You live in a tiny apartment. You drive a Honda. I own the building where that tiny apartment is located. As for the Honda, I shrugged. It's good for the environment. Unlike your Mercedes, which, by the way, you probably shouldn't have charged to the company account. Mr. Townsend sank into his chair, no doubt remembering every smug comment he'd ever made about the mysterious CO. The garage, he muttered. We made you sleep in the garage. Yes, I said quietly. You did. All of you were so busy judging me by appearances that you never bothered to look deeper. I turned to Olivia. Remember last month when you denied Sarah in accounting time off for her son's surgery? Olivia's lips trembled. She nodded. I approved her medical leave personally, and arranged for the best specialist in the country. Because that's what real leaders do. They take care of their people. Dad finally found his voice. Why didn't you tell us? Would it have mattered? I asked, meeting his eyes. Would you have treated me differently if I hadn't been successful on your terms? This family measures worth by brand names and bank accounts. I wanted to build something meaningful. I turned back to Mr. Townsend. The board meeting tomorrow will proceed as scheduled. We'll be discussing the restructuring that cost us $3 million, among other things. My gaze shifted to Olivia. I suggest everyone comes prepared. You're going to fire me, Olivia whispered. No, I said, gathering my belongings. I'm going to do what I should have done years ago, hold you accountable. Success isn't about titles or corner offices. It's about integrity, innovation, and results. I walked toward the door. Chaos erupted behind me. Mom's protests, Olivia's denials, Mr. Townsend's frantic calls. One more thing, I said, pausing at the doorway. I won't be sleeping in the garage tonight. I have a suite at the Four Seasons, which I own, by the way. Merry Christmas. As I drove away in my Honda, my phone buzzed with messages. Apologies, excuses, attempts to rewrite history. I ignored them all. The next morning, I sat at the head of the boardroom table in Summit's headquarters as Olivia and Mr. Townsend filed in with the other executives. Gone was Olivia's smug superiority, replaced by something that looked remarkably like respect. Before we begin, I announced, I want to talk about company culture. About how we treat people regardless of their title or apparent status. Because success isn't just about profits, it's about character. Olivia wouldn't meet my eyes, but for the first time in her career, I saw her taking notes. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about proving that their judgment never mattered in the first place. While they were busy looking down on me, I was building an empire. And next Christmas? I think I'll host it at my place. All 15,000 square feet of it. Let them sleep in the garage.